Okay guys, what's up? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure excuse me, to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. As always guys, if you haven't hit the bell, make sure you do that, and of course check out the Discord link to Elevating Traders, completely free to join, linked in the description below. You can also find it at the top of the chat so you can't miss it. Share ideas there. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself there as well. So if you are looking to join a community, make sure you do check it out. Links in the description, free to join, and also at the top of the chat so you can't miss it. But guys, welcome back to another stream. Happy Friday, everyone. What's up, D-Mart? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. As always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Take a look at Euro, Pound, other USD majors, of course the DXY, and we'll go through gold and silver. Any requests, any pairs you want me to take a look at, put it down in the chat, and of course we'll take a look. Any particular time frames, let me know as well. As always, most of the time I'll be on the 4-hour chart, but if you do want me to go intraday, let me know and I will take a look as well. But as always, we'll start with the dollar, which at the moment is looking pretty bearish, at least this morning anyway. And since yesterday afternoon, we're looking pretty bearish. I was looking for a bit of a pullback for the dollar because I do think more downside is likely. I was talking about 100.4. However, we haven't really seen that yet. And I'm not too sure we will. I said pullback into that area will look good. Of course, you've got price support there, which now would be flipped as resistance. We've got one high over there, second, and potentially a third. And then, of course, from there, we might see price continue in that bearish journey. At the start of the week, I was looking for price to hold support here and potentially push a lot higher up. But yeah, we can see that momentum has just been looking pretty bearish and prices hasn't had enough energy to have that pullback. So at this point in time, I think the likelihood is that the DXY does make its way back to lows here at 98.1 and probably further as well. It does look like we've tested some more minor areas of support around here. As you can see, we just about tagged into that. If I move this out of the way, we just about wicked into that. And of course, from there is where we found resistance yesterday, and we haven't looked back since. So we're looking pretty bearish right now. We're still coming into bullish territory, which is this low here. This is the low which gave us this swing to the upside. So predominantly speaking, still don't really want to be shorting into that. From an intraday perspective, I understand shorts here, trying to take advantage of price, retesting a prior low. If you're entering positions intraday, 15-minute, hourly time frame even, probably find some nice intraday swings there to trade. But any higher than that, you're running into a bit of trouble because price very much could bounce again at this level of support. After all, it is still holding price very well. It gave us the reaction a couple days back. This is still where buys are sitting. I still think price is likely to break through, but at the same time, I don't want to be selling into that level. Even if I expect resistance or support to break, I'm not going to be buying into it just because I expect it to break, because we might bounce first and then break it, and that could knock me out my position. And it just doesn't make too much sense selling into demand, support, or buying into supply or resistance. But nonetheless, if we do see a break of that, again, I still think that will open up the door to more shorts on the lower time frames. So some pullbacks, break and retest. I still think that will be a nice opportunity to look for, again, intraday time frames, not looking for anything too crazy. And we could be nestling back at these lows sometime next week. So pretty bearish right now for the dollar, which of course makes me pretty bullish for euro. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I spoke about the retest of this level, which euro did manage to get the retest of. Prior resistance there at 1.126. We came back, used it as support. Lovely reaction. Again, some nice entries there, more so on the hourly chart. It did kind of occur out of session here. This was like, 6, 7, 8 p.m. UK time. So that's kind of not the best time to be entering longs on euro. You kind of want to be more so either London session or mainly New York session. It still technically is the US session, but just more towards the end when momentum does die out. You can see candles looking very, very small there as the candle did close for the day, but nonetheless, support did hold, and price has been looking pretty bullish since then. And yeah, I don't really see much stopping price getting all the way back to 1.156 really. So at the moment, very, very bullish on euro. Again, I'll watch out if you're looking to buy it, because we are still trading back into areas of supply. You can clearly see here price had a lot of trouble yesterday or Wednesday. We had a push down from that. We could do that again, even though I do expect price to break through. There is that worry there. So now's not the best time to be looking to buy. If you're not in the trade from here, then you're looking for price to now go break that area of structure and repeat the pattern. You've been pretty consistent with these high lows now. One over there, second, third potentially. The fourth is essentially what you'll be looking at next. And targets, I don't see much stopping price getting back to the highs there. So it could be looking at a really nice swing trade there on the cards. But in terms of finding entries for euro now, I would say wait for price to get back above 1.135, or if we do come back for a retest, of course, because that could happen too. So I would keep a lookout for that. But yeah, in terms of direction, very, very bullish in euro. If I'm expecting the dollar to fall back to lows, well then 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, I'm expecting euro to make the opposite move. And in this case, I definitely am there. And again, the plan is with euro is I'm expecting the continuation of this bullish leg, of that bullish momentum we've seen throughout the year. Still treating this as a pullback of that last bullish leg. So now I'm just expecting continuation back to highs, and probably so on and so forth. So very, very bullish there for euro. Pound USD looks like it's breaking out of resistance here. Very, very impressive stuff. Again, I'll still wait for that daily candle to close to really kind of cement the breakout, because the day is still young. Price could still potentially pull back and leave a big wick there, kind of like we did a couple of days ago. We're looking pretty bullish there. We did pull back, so that could still happen. So I would be a little bit cautious of that, but nonetheless, I'm still pretty bearish on the dollar. I think the dollar can still fall. That should help pound push up. I think pound's a bit strong at the moment as well. So pound USD is looking like a very bullish market, and if that's the case, well, that should provide some nice opportunities on a break and retest to follow that momentum and find continuations, because at least now we've got that resistance to our backs. It potentially could act as support and send us higher. So pound USD, a very bullish market. I would still be looking to buy this one, but now that we've cleared resistance, we can now be looking for a break and retest and see some upside from there. At the moment, again, like I said, I'll wait for that daily candle to close. So I wouldn't look for pullbacks until at least next week, because if we do start to pull back now, that does leave a big wick on the daily chart. And if we close like there by the weekend, then it's not looking too great anymore. So I would still wait for next week to really confirm things, confirm momentum, then look for the breakout and continuations afterwards. And in terms of dollar CAD, pretty much the same situation here as well. Looking pretty bearish. Dollar's quite weak at the moment. I did suggest a breaking retest of this area, but the market was just not looking, it wasn't as bullish as we needed it to be to come and actually retest that level. So it looks like dollar CAD's probably just going to roll over back to lows here at 1.376 without much of a pullback there. I would suggest there might be some opportunities on like an hourly chart. If we can come back and retest this area, probably even drop lower than the hourly, to be honest, more so like 30 or 15 minute. I think that could be a nice opportunity for a trade. We've got a high over there. We just about cleared lows here. So it looks like that's our new lower high in this bearish leg. So the plan would be looking for the next lower high. And a retest of this structure gave us a lovely up move. We've since broken through. This now could act as supply resistance and send us back down again. So I think that's a great place to be looking to short the market as well. But overall for dollar CAD, very, very bearish on this one. Expecting a pushback to lows at 1.376. Possibly a retest of that low is still on the cards. We still potentially could look to see that happen. But yeah, looking less and less likely now. But keep an eye on that. This is probably something more likely to happen, and I think that would be a great place from an intraday perspective to catch a swing. But yeah, in terms of direction, very, very bearish on dollar CAD. Aussie dollar, just leaving price alone, to be honest. I have no idea what we're doing here. I'm still pretty bearish in USD, so you would think that should send Aussie dollar higher. But price action looks very, very rubbish right now. Very, very sideways. I wouldn't be looking to touch Aussie dollar for 10-foot pole right now, to be honest. So I'll leave price alone. There's a slight ascending channel here, so it's slightly, seeing higher lows and pushing up, but not a trend worth a while. Again, I'm still looking at the bigger swing, but to be honest, as price continues this, the less confident I am that we do get this swing to the downside, to be honest. Because I would expect it to happen by now. If Aussie dollar was going to push down, give me that higher low to push up, because I have been looking for that big inverse and head and shoulder. So inverse, there's your left shoulder. Don't know why I call that inverse. Left shoulder, head, and right shoulder. So I was looking for price to drop down. I've spoken about this area here at 0.625 as a healthy area of support, which we price pull back into, retest, and potentially continue to the upside from there. But as I say, as long as price kind of stays within that channel, and the longer we stay in that channel, the less likely I see price having that drop and possibly just kind of maybe consolidating and then breaking to the upside with some momentum. I think that becomes more and more likely. And not really something I'm looking to trade, to be honest. So I'll still keep an eye on 0.625 because, again, price potentially could still get there. And if it does, I want to make sure I'm there to take the trade. If not, if you just stay sideways in here, again, leaving price alone, even from a lower time frame perspective, I would stay far away. NZD/USD, I like the buys for this one, but not quite at the lows just yet. We broke out that ascending channel there on the lower time frame, so I was hoping that we could continue to sell off back into these lows and then find the buy. But yeah, at the moment looking pretty bullish, and we're not quite trading at those lows just yet. Maybe we still do get there, so again, definitely not ruling that out, but my expectation for NZD/USD is more upside. Again, a bearish dollar should help that out as well. Still looking at strength in the NZD and Aussie as well. I have talked about the retest of this level here, but again, it's just a waiting game. A lot of trading is just to wait for price to come to you, and if it does, great, you find your opportunity. If it doesn't, you move on to the next position. In this case with NZD/USD, I'm just going to wait to see if price can get there. I know I'm bullish. I'm now still expecting a swing back to the highs, but in order to trade it, I need price to be at a valuable area, and right now we're in the middle of things. So waiting for a push down. It may or may not happen. We'll have to wait and see, but that's still very much the plan for NZD/USD. In terms of gold, yeah, looking bullish somewhat, but we are still trading in this upper end of the channel here. So it's an interesting price right now for gold. Do we break out? Do we respect it? That will make or break gold, because if we do struggle here, there could actually be a really nice short and a swing back down again. From a bullish standpoint, I wouldn't mind picking up some buys down at the lows here again. Did miss this swing, but if price was to return back to support, I think that's still a great place for a buy. Could be looking at a big double bottom for a possible reversal. So I still like the idea of longs down here. But at the same time, there might be some shorts up here first. If I could see more wicks, maybe a strong rejection, I wouldn't mind the short trying to capitalize on another lower high. We've got the first high there, second lower high. Perhaps we could see the third one. Of course, if gold just rallies through and breaks to the upside, well, gold is back bullish again. And at that point, I'll be expecting us just to drift back to the highs. So if we do break through that, gold's very bullish. There might be some break and retest on the lower time frame opportunities. So if price was to have a clean break, there might be a retest, something like that, on like an hourly or 30 or 15-minute chart to take advantage of. So watch out for the breakouts there if you're looking to follow that momentum. If you're looking to try and position yourself for a bigger swing trade, we need price to return to support anyway. So we need to wait for price to come back to lows. But at the same time, if we fail here, there could be some shorts to capitalize on that move as well. So a lot can happen here for gold, a lot of scenarios, but as price develops, we'll understand the more likely outcome for gold, whether it is the breakout or whether price does reject the highs there. We need a bit more information before yeah, I say which one I'm expecting, but we'll keep an eye on that. Silver, a little bit all over the place. It's had a massive wick to the downside last time I checked. Yeah, really big wick to the downside. Price was dancing around here yesterday afternoon. But yeah, it's interesting for silver. Again, I'm still pretty bullish with this one. Looking for us to return back to highs there at 34.55. It looks like we're trading outside of this kind of wedge pattern. So you got the trend line there giving you the lower highs. You got support here, which price is respecting, giving you the equal lows. Since we have broken to the upside, we have smacked our heads at resistance here. So looks like we're having some trouble there. We have come back down roughly to the trend line area. I've had a retest. Also just about wicked into this area here too. So I do fancy more upside there for silver. I'm not seeing a quality opportunity to take a trade though. Would I look to try and buy here? No. Reason being, this is more or less just a range. So I don't really want to be buying in the middle of a range anyway. So I don't really deem it as a high quality trade or something I will look to trade myself. I've spoken about silver. I really wanted the price to push lower first so I could pick up some longs from some of these more significant areas in the market and at some more appropriate places as well for a buy. But right now we're coming from resistance, so personally I would stay away. Maybe if we double bottom here, that might increase the quality of the trade or the likelihood that we do push higher. But all in all, this is still what I would deem as a consolidation. So pretty much staying away from silver for now. I think gold is a lot better and a lot easier to read. So I'll just focus on gold's price action, whether it's the buys here or the buys in the breakout. I think there's a nice move to be had. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with USD for now. Excuse me. What's up, RWS? Pound USD dollar CAD. Okay, we'll have a look. Paul, what do you think of NAS? We'll go through that, no problem. Hope you're well though. Welcome. Wisdom, gold, yep, just went through it. Jonathan, good morning, hope you're well. G4, dollar yen, no problem, we'll take a look. Ivan, morning, my man, hope you are well. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, so in terms of, what's up, Shadrach? Good morning, hope you're well. So yeah, in terms of pound USD and dollar CAD, well, they're both USD pairs. We're both seeing weakness across the board for the dollar. So pounds rallying, dollar CAD's falling. That's really the direction I would trade in. In the case of pound USD, as I said earlier in the stream, I would wait for next week for trading longs for pound USD. Reason being, because I want to see a strong daily candle close above this level. I don't want to be in a situation where price is now pulling back and potentially leaving a big wick there by the end of today. If that's the case, we're just rejecting resistance and we're back at square one. But this is well and truly the breakout, which I think it might be. We should get a candle close above the high. That confirms to us momentum is breaking through, and we could see a lot more upside after that. So once we get that confirmation, well, then pullbacks, retests become a likely opportunity, and we can look to follow that momentum higher. So yeah, pound USD very bullish, breaking highs there. Could be some more longs to take there, but I would wait for next week before trading it personally. Any pullbacks now, we do run the risk of some big wicks there on the daily chart, which imply we could still roll over. Dollar CAD's case, looking pretty bearish as well. Again, for this one, I'm expecting a push back into support. In terms of trading it, I've marked out this zone here as a nice place for a short. So what's that, 1.385? If you can return there, I think that's a sensible place for a sell. We put this high in, lovely bearish leg, creating new lows just. So if you can see a pullback of that, would expect a continuation. Last stream yesterday, I was talking about the possible retest of this zone, but price just missed out on that. So I don't think we'll get there again. So now this becomes the next best opportunity. That still might happen, so I'll keep an eye on that. But for now, I think a lower high is likely to form. And some more downsides and a return back to support there. So yeah, very, very bearish on dollar CAD as well. I think dollar CAD looks like the better trade at the moment. We'll go through NAS 100 and dollar yen. What's up, the High Elf? Good morning. Hope you're well. Knut, good morning. Good morning. Aussie yen. Okay, we'll take a look. So NAS 100. Let's have a look. See. Okay, not a lot has happened since we last spoke with NAS. Just a lot of sideways price action. So I'm still very bullish on the NAS. I still think a lot more upside is likely with this one. I'm basically still looking for the all-time highs, essentially. So nothing's changed here with NAS. Still looking for a push to the all-time highs. We cleared structure like it wasn't even there. That was our last lower high, which gave us the drop. We also had the 200 moving average acting as some bearish confluence. Price cleared that out of the way with ease as well. So my thinking now with the NAS is, how far do we fall for a pullback before the market continues? I've marked out a couple of areas where we could possibly retest and continue. This area being one, around 2,800, I call it. A brief zone where we stalled for a few hours there. Then we had a sharp break to the upside. A lot of momentum came from that area. So I would suggest this is a smart place for a buy if we see price respect that area well. If not, then we have this area here, which lines up very well with this gap, which hasn't been filled. Maybe price wants to go and fill that. And also lines up pretty well with the retest of the price swing high, which gave us this massive drop to the downside. This could become a very significant area of support to send price back up again. So those are the two areas I'll look at for the NAS. And then my expectation, of course, would be a push back to the high and then back to the all-time high. So I like the NAS because I think there's a lot of opportunity here to the upside, where you can get a relatively small risk on the trade, relatively tight stop loss, and really maximize that reward there back to highs. At the moment, kind of just sideways, so I kind of like that, to be honest, because there will be some lows here which potentially, price will look to go and violate, grab some liquidity lower, and then that could help be the catalyst for swing to the upside. But both these areas look good. 2,800 and 2,400 I'll keep my eyes on. But yeah, expectations are still a lot more upside with the NAS. Dollar yen, we spoke a lot about this one yesterday. A lot of people requested this yesterday. It's an interesting one because USD is still pretty weak. Yen, I'm still kind of looking for some weakness on the yen. I'm still looking for some upside for majority of the yen pairs. We'll take a look at the yen basket in a moment, but USD is pretty weak right now, so it's going to be difficult for dollar yen to see a swing like that. It would have to mean that maybe the dollar maybe starts to slow down, or yen becomes seriously weak for us to see a move like that. So as I was talking yesterday, I said I do think we can still see a bit of a balance for dollar yen, but I do feel like the bigger move now is probably going to take us back to the lows here at 140. We might come up, retest an area like this, and then sell off from there potentially. So I still think this is a nice area for a buy. This is the low which gave us this swing to the upside. So this is still a very significant point in the market. Gave us a very, very big bullish move. So I do expect to see buyers still trying to enter the market from here. Price is still relatively quite corrective. We're still seeing wicks in this zone. So if we can get there again, see some more rejection, I still think that's a smart place for a buy. But I will no longer be expecting that big swing to the high anymore. I do think price is probably going to roll over and come back and test support. So dollar yen, out of the yen pairs, is probably not my favorite yen pair to buy, at least. Especially because I do have that bearish bias for the dollar. So I'm not essentially, I don't want to be looking to buy the USD really. But even if I do expect yen weakness, the dollar could still just be weaker. And that could slow things down and not give us that swing. So yes, coming to a nice area of support. Not expecting a massive move here. More so just a reaction. More so just a pullback of that bearish move. I think we'll probably see some more downside long term back into the lows there. So that's kind of my expectation now with dollar yen. I'll go through Aussie and then I'll take a look at the yen basket. So Aussie yen, still a pair which I'm looking to buy. Things are still a little bit stale with Aussie yen, which I like though. It's very, very corrective, very slow. We're still trading a really big level of support. This pair is probably at the top of my watch list at the moment right now for a buy. I'm looking to see if we can take it back into resistance here. What looks to me like a very textbook inverse head and shoulder pattern. You got a left over here, you got your head over there, and over there you got your right shoulder. So a very textbook situation here. It's just I need price to invite me into the trade. I need to see a healthy enough rejection to suffice an entry. At the moment, I like the location, I like how price got there. Just not really seeing much conviction with the bullish candles. We're seeing some bullish momentum, but very minimal. I want to see really the buyers really take control. Strong, meaningful push to the upside, maybe a nice exaggerated wick to the downside as well. And that would be something that I would like to use as an entry, take it back to highs, and then maybe even further as well. So that would entice me into the trade. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of small body candles, not a lot of momentum, which again illustrates that we are losing bearish momentum and we are getting ready probably for a move higher. But the emphasis is on getting ready. We're not ready yet. And that's the key thing I'm looking here for Aussie yen. But I like the location, looking for a buy, just waiting for a good entry signal really to enter some longs. But yeah, expectation for Aussie yen, again, a swing to the upside and looking for a push higher. If I head over to the yen basket, which I'm still looking for a short from, still looking for price to push down. We're still very corrective in this phase as well, which again still gives me an impression that we could roll over. If we were steaming to the upside with a lot of momentum, that would be a bit of a worry because I would probably expect that to happen. But because we're still corrective, still just about respecting structure here, it still gives us the opportunity to see some weakness for the yen there and a swing back down. So that's really my take there for the yen itself. I like the way we provided the wicks there as well. On the daily chart too, but yeah, no real shift in momentum for the yen as well. I think that's a key thing to note. We're still correctively pushing up, which is great, but we might still continue to do this and break structure and continue higher. The key thing is now seeing some momentum breaking lower, and that will hopefully invite us into a trade and see opportunities in some of the other yen pairs as well. But yeah, still just about fancying a move down there for the yen, so weakness in the yen. What's up? No problem, Paul, happy to help. What's up, Yusuf? Good morning. Hope you are well. I am doing good, my man. Thank you for asking. Khalid, Afghanistan, big up to you. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Jonathan, looking at Aussie CAD shorts on the hourly time frame, 0.8916. Could the CAD bears be about to come into play intraday? Thoughts? Possibly. I mean, CAD. Again, I'm kind of looking for some CAD weakness. I'm not particularly bearish on the CAD, but I do think we can see some CAD weakness looking at kind of a lot of the CAD pairs. I do think CAD can be the weaker currency. In terms of Aussie CAD, not a pair which I paid so much attention to. I like New Zealand CAD. I was actually debating some buys on NZD CAD this morning, but I actually ended up taking some buys on New Zealand CHF. I didn't want to take them both because they're both NZD related. We can take a look at both of them. But yeah, Aussie CAD, I find is a bit more corrective. And my main kind of worry with Aussie CAD, I do think we can still see more upside. So I do agree with the kind of outlook of lower time frame shorts because of where we're trading. But I don't like how prices moved. You've had this very big impulse, very big recovery. And typically this means that price can probably see more upside longer term. So my longer term bias is actually for Aussie CAD to continue higher. But we have come back into a strong area of supply. This is kind of where price consolidated and we had that big drop. So I do agree shorts on the lower time frames look good, but I just wouldn't be looking for a bigger move because I do expect us to continue to push higher. Let's see where you're trying to find your shorts. 0.896, okay. No, 1.6. Okay, that's pretty much what current price is. So you looking to short there? So personally, I wouldn't, because of where we're trading. We've got major support to our left, so if anything, these is where the buyers have come into play. I understand that we are seeing lower highs here, so that's probably the reason why maybe you're looking to short it, because we've been pretty consistent with the lower highs, and perhaps we could still see another one form, another push down. That makes sense, but just not at the current price, because we are just testing major support there. If we were higher up, not testing support, or if we have broken through that level and we're trading below, then yeah, fair enough. But because price has just come back to respect the area, my worry would be that we might see a bigger push up. We could still potentially push down temporarily, but again, we could still see that bigger push up. So if you're looking for a very short-term trade, maybe. But my worry would be that this level could push us higher up. I wouldn't really want to be looking to short here. If we could push up like this, and potentially try and catch a lower high like so, maybe coming back to some resistance, I think that would be a nice place to short. Not necessarily even for a big move, but at least for a reaction. And I'll be a lot more comfortable for stop loss above the highs here and trying to enter there rather than having a go here. So that would be my take there for Aussie CAD. G4 Euro CHF. Okay, we'll have a look. What's up, Julius? Welcome to the stream, my man. Hope you are well. No problem, my man. No problem. I'm glad you enjoy the streams, find it useful. If you guys are enjoying the streams, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you find the content useful, informative. It does really help out the channel, gets the content out there a little bit more as well. So I do really appreciate everyone who has liked the stream so far. And if you haven't done so already, please do me a favor, go and hit the like button. It does help out. Jonathan, yeah, depending on how the hour closes. If not, then previous highs. Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's a nice place for a short. You're basing on structure there, so I definitely can't knock you for that. It makes sense, but it's just the only thing I don't like about the position is that we're just a little bit close to support. And the fact that we were reacting from it as well does put me off the trade. I would feel a little bit more comfortable if price was a bit higher up. I was trying to gamble on one of these highs forming. Yeah, that would be something that would interest me a little bit more. Because I just feel a bit safer because I'm away from support, close to resistance. And if it does play out, I could be looking at a pretty big risk reward there as well. So that would be my suggestion for the trade. But of course, if things are good, I don't want to talk you out of taking a trade. I'm just, of course, just sharing my thoughts on the idea. Okay, so I'll go through Euro CHF. I'll go through New Zealand CHF as well because I'm long on that one. I just hopped onto that trade this morning, actually. So we'll go through that quickly and also go through New Zealand CAD as well because I was debating between the two, but I chose New Zealand CHF in the end. No problem, Jonathan. Happy to help. Afternoon, Antonio. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. So yeah, I did hop into... Actually, I'll go for Euro CHF first. Here's a CHF, but after all. So yeah, Euro CHF, not as a big a fan of this one as I am of New Zealand CHF, because I'm trading that one, of course. But I do think the CHF pairs have room to the upside. I'm quite bullish on the CHF pairs. I'm quite bearish on the Swiss franc itself. So most CHF pairs I'm expecting upside, except dollar CHF, because I expect USD to be weak as well. So I'm not too sure who's going to be the weaker currency, but I just know that USD's got a good chance of being weak. So I'm not really interested in buying dollar CHF, but pound, euro, Aussie, NZD, CAD CHF, all those 5 pairs that I do think can see higher prices. Euro CHF, though, not my favorite, just because price action is a little bit messy here. Yeah, not my favorite. I can see we've done a pretty good job at respecting support. We've had 4 attempts now of price trying to break through support and all have failed. Of course, you had the first over there, the second, the third, and the fourth. So potentially price is looking to reverse from here in terms of the bigger picture. So there could be a lot of upside from that kind of perspective. In terms of the current price action here on the 4-hour chart, I think it just looks very, very messy, to be honest. I don't really know what price is doing. We're seeing higher lows, but we're also seeing lower highs as well. So it's like the market is squeezing here a little bit, and I'm not too sure what the next move is going to be. Like I said, from a higher time frame perspective, I think we can rally. 4-hour though, things look quite choppy. So Euro CHF, personally, I would stay away unless we do rally, unless we do push back into support. Then from here, we can probably base a trade from that. You know, looking for another rejection from that level. I think that would be a smart place for an entry and a stop loss. Anything in here, I feel like it's just quite choppy. We've still got resistance above us here, which sellers will be sitting to try and drive price back down. So I'm not really seeing much room there for Euro CHF, at least from a 4-hour perspective. If we can push to support again, that should give us a nice opportunity to catch a big move. But yeah, really Euro CHF, I would stay far away from this pair. At least on the 4-hour chart, it looks horrendous. Yeah. So I would stay away. I don't really have much to say, to be honest. If there's an opportunity, I would share it with you guys, but I don't really see one unless we push back into support. New Zealand CHF, though, I did enter a trade with this one on the previous 4-hour candle, so the candle that just closed before I hopped into the stream. Basically looking for price to respect support. There's a lot of rejection in this area, and essentially looking for price to hold onto that to continue. I've got a couple targets for the trade, initially over here and eventually over there, back to that high. I do think there can be a lot more upside, and the reason why I like New Zealand CHF quite a lot is because we're coming from all-time lows, and I do have that expectation that price is going to recover most of that. You can see every time the price does spike to the downside and create new all-time lows, we tend to have somewhat of a recovery, and that's basically the trade I'm looking to try and take advantage of. So as we come back into support, be monitoring price. Nice rejection this morning. Support holding very well. This was the last swing low, which gave us this swing high. It's a very kind of awkward market structure, but it's based on the fact that we are still seeing, if I could zoom out, we are still seeing higher lows and higher highs. So if I just map it out, there's your low to your high, low to your high, low to your high. And now we pull back basically almost to the low here. For this trade to be invalidated, price needs to take out the low here. And it's come pretty close to doing that. So now that looks like momentum shifted, hopped into a buy, and hopefully we can ride it at least back to resistance here, which would give me around a 1 to 2. But I'm looking to see if I can push it a bit further, around a 1 to 4 up there. But I'll probably secure gains there, so it wouldn't be a complete 1 to 4. But yeah, that's the plan there with New Zealand CHF. The expectation that, okay, we're coming from all-time lows, we're still yet to see more upside. Same situation with Aussie CHF as well. This one's coming from all-time lows as well. The entry wasn't looking as good as New Zealand CHF, so that's why I'm trading that one. But same situation here with Aussie. We've just taken out some all-time lows over here, and I do expect price to continue to retrace. But if you zoom out, look at the bigger picture, every time a new low is created, the market does tend to push straight back up. Excuse me. So that's essentially what I'm expecting price to do again. It's literally the history of Aussie CHF. There's literally 100% success rate of that pattern happening. When a low is created, market pretty much soon after recovers quite substantially. So Aussie CHF, I think that's likely to push on. You can see we've pulled back into a nice area here as well, respecting that pretty well. This was our last swing low, which gave us the swing high. As long as price doesn't go and break through the lows here, I do think we can recover and at least come back and test this range here around 0.55. So bullish on both of them. NZC CHF just looked a little bit better in terms of the entry. So yeah, I've had a stab at that one. We'll see how that one goes. And I still do think we can see some bullishness for NZD and Aussie as well. So I'm kind of banking on that too. Okay, where was I? John, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Do you see a buy for pound Aussie? Not really. I've been pretty bearish on that pair, but I'll go through it for you. Julius, if you don't mind, kindly share your experience with stacking and taking advantage to maximize profits. You mean like adding to positions? Is that stacking or staking? But yeah, if you're talking about just adding positions to a winning trade, I haven't really done that too much. You know, I have experimented a little bit with it, but personally, I do find it a little bit difficult to do that, especially in FX, because we do chop around a lot. In smoother markets like an indice, S&P 500, even gold, Bitcoin, even smoother markets which have that kind of overall trend, adding to winning positions isn't the hardest thing to do, and it's a bit more natural. In FX, where we do chop around and we have longer periods of sideways movement and we do chop quite a bit, it's a little bit difficult, to be honest, to do it well, because you need a good trending environment. So in a condition like this, where things are trending, it's a bit easier to add to winning positions, but it's not all the time FX will look like that. You know, sometimes it will be like this, where the market's very, very flat, and adding to winning positions is actually somewhat tricky. Especially, you can see here, since August 2023 till we got the breakout there in 2025, April, markets be incredibly flat. So from my experience, adding to winning positions is a good thing to do, but you need good conditions to do that. Everything comes down to conditions. Every trading style and strategy has its own place in the market, but you have to be able to make sure you're using it in the correct conditions. Breakouts work well in the right conditions. Reversals work well in the right conditions. Adding to winning positions work well in the right conditions. If we're chopping around, doesn't make sense, of course. So I would suggest experiment with it, but make sure that you're trading in very trending conditions. Not that you're anticipating trend to fall, more so the market's already trending well and there's a lot of momentum in the market. Then you can experiment with that. Personally, I just focus on just having that trade, holding it to my take profit. Of course, I manage it along the way, but I don't really look to add to winning positions. To maximize profits, I just look to try and hold trades for longer. I think it's a little bit easier to do, easy on the psyche as well, because when you do add to winning trades, you're adding more risk to the position. So you could still take new losses based on your additional trades. Whereas just holding trades for longer to maximize profits is just the easier way to do it, because you're holding on for longer, still making a little bit more profits for your trade, and you're not necessarily doing anything extra as well, and you're not adding extra risk to the trade. So in terms of maximizing profits, my best way is just to hold for longer. Of course, within reason. I'm not just saying randomly hold a trade for longer. It has to be within reason. Some trades look good to hold for longer. In that case, do that. Some trades don't, of course, so don't in those situations. But yeah, adding to positions, from my experience in FX, hasn't gone well. To be honest, I haven't tested it a lot. I've dabbled with it. I would definitely recommend go back test and see for yourself. But especially in FX, because the markets chop around a lot, I don't think it's the best strategy to use personally. But again, I will go and back test and test that out for yourself. Okay, let's go take a look at pound Aussie. And for John, I'll go through BTC as well. So yeah, pound Aussie, don't get me wrong, the market is very bullish as a whole. We are still very much trending to the upside, but we are approaching some resistance areas of supply to our left here. So this is not really an area which I would like to buy from. If we were to break through, that would be a different scenario. If price was to rally and break through structure here, that would be great. Then yeah, sure, I'll be very open to buying pound Aussie at that point, because there's a good chance we probably push back to the all-time highs there. All-time highs. Back to the swing highs. I don't know where that came from. back to the swing highs there, 2.15. So yeah, pound Aussie, very bullish market. There's still a very comfortable uptrend on our hands right now. So I definitely understand looking to follow that momentum, take advantage of that trend. Absolutely. But we are pushing into areas of supply which could actually give us a bit of a bearish swing here. Perhaps the market wants to see a bit of a retracement. If we are, that's kind of where I expect the retracement to come from. So I'll be a bit cautious of buying pound Aussie at the moment based on where we're coming into. But if you can clear resistance, yeah, sure. Buys above that, I do agree. And could be looking at a pretty juicy swing back to resistance at 2.15. So I can definitely agree with that. But at the moment, if anything, if we see some healthy rejection there, that could actually be a nice short for a swing back into lows. So I'd watch out for that for pound Aussie. Yusuf, what do I think of your entry on gold at 32.92? Never had a trend line and moving average confidence, only the wicks it created. Okay, interesting. I'll go have a look. Julius BTC, yep, we'll take a look at that as well. The higher for Euro CHF, I would wait if we get to 96.5 and create support there. We can go as high as 1.6. Yeah, I'm looking at a pretty big move for the high but use your name there as the pair. I'm looking pretty big move for Euro CHF as well. Pretty much all CHF pairs apart from dollar CHF. I feel like there's a lot of upside to be had. We've been bearish for quite a while. Some are coming from all-time lows. So I do think we can push up quite a lot. Euro CHF, the price action is just quite choppy, so I'm not personally looking to trade it myself. I like the looks of Aussie and New Zealand CHF. But, yeah, I'll go through that. The 4-hour chart just looks very, very messy right now. First, I'll go through gold. And then I'll go through BTC and Euro Swiss, dollar CAD, RWS, okay. We will take a look as well. But let's take a look at gold for Yusuf. I'm zooming on the 50-minute time frame as well. So you said you got an entry at 32.92. 32.92, which would take us to around here. So I'm assuming you entered yesterday. Was it yesterday? I assume maybe somewhere here. But yeah, wicks are a great confluence. Wicks are really, really underrated, especially when you get a cluster of wicks as well. One wick, is good, especially if it's nice and exaggerated. But if you can get 2-3 wicks, especially all of similar lengths and sizes, and they're pretty big too, that's a really strong sign that the market's having a lot of trouble at that price and probably will turn around. Especially if you can accompany with that with other confluences like a trend line, like moving average, support and resistance, in line with market structure. That just adds layers to the trade. But wicks are very, very good. Signal that price is struggling and can turn around as well. So I always like the look of wicks. But yeah, I mean, again, confluences are there to aid you in terms of finding a soft spot to enter and trade the market. If you don't have confluences for a trade, doesn't necessarily mean the trade won't work out. It just doesn't put probability as much in your favor as it could be. So the fact that you didn't have a trend line and moving average confluence doesn't necessarily mean, okay, the trade's not going to work out. There'll be trades that you miss just because there is no confluence, of course. It just means that probability isn't as high as it could be. So you taking a trade without the confluences, again, it's not the end of the world, especially when you do get some wicks like this. It does show that, okay, price is finding support. But in terms of consistency, I would recommend to have those confluences set and use them pretty much all the time, because it keeps you being consistent. You can have another strategy or another way of entering the market which doesn't use trend lines or moving averages or whatever other confluence you can look at. But you want to give that its own kind of strategy and that own kind of entry. So you label it as a different type. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you're picking and choosing what's gonna justify an entry, because then it comes down to emotion a little bit and gut instinct, which especially in the beginning is not really good to rely upon. Maybe as you become more experienced, you can use that a little bit, but even with me, I use gut instinct just very, very minimal. I try to keep my rules, solid. Maybe sometimes I use my gut in terms of, okay, I'm not going to take this position. So sometimes I do that, but if I have a rule, I want to stick to it. And that's just because of consistency. But I like the wicks there. Really nice rejection. Of course, clear evidence that support is forming. And yeah, definitely a nice rally to the upside there. So congrats on the position. Okay, entered last night. So that would be around here, I assume so. But yeah, I mean, when you get wicks like that, it's a clear sign that price is really struggling at support. Doesn't guarantee price is going to turn around, of course, but normally when you're seeing wicks like this, especially from a low, it does more often than not give you a reversal there. You know, I always go on about bullish engulfing candles, but I also say that if you can accompany that with a lot of wicks, that gives you a really, really good entry. Bullish engulfing candles and bearish engulfing candles are great, but if you can get some wicks as well, that's really the cherry on top. But yeah, nice position, Yusuf. Okay, so let's take a look at BTC, which was clearing highs last time I checked, and is still at it as we speak. So yeah, Bitcoin looking very, very bullish here. So we can go higher. We can go higher. As to where and when and how, I have no idea. Again, we're at all-time highs. We can't necessarily look to the left and utilize price action. We're in the dark here. It's just, Bitcoin's going to make it up as it goes along. From a trading perspective, I think there's still some really nice areas to buy from. We had this range over here, which price formed, had the breakout. Unfortunately, never had the retest, but now we've got this range here. Lovely breakout there, past couple of days. If we retest that, I think that's a great place for a buy. Probably still look at that as well, but this is the more recent one. So in my book, Bitcoin's still looking very, very bullish. Buys still look good. I think the key thing with Bitcoin is momentum now. If we do become a bit corrective at these prices, that could be a bit alarming. If Bitcoin just storms off, then yeah, we're just in a very bullish cycle right now. We have to be patient for the pullbacks. But yeah, Bitcoin's looking very bullish. I know we're taking out all-time highs there. But if I was looking to trade it, I would just be looking to buy it really. I'm not seeing any red flags in terms of us about to reverse or come back down. So more upside in my book there for Bitcoin. Very, very bullish stuff. And I would say the next big psychological level for Bitcoin would be 120. Could probably argue maybe 115. But I think now that we've cleared 100K, I think now we move up in 10Ks now. Especially because the high we formed here almost was around 110K as well. So I think 115 is a bit more of a minor area. I think 120 is the next big level now. Maybe we push there. But yeah, Bitcoin looking very, very bullish. Only expecting upside there. Euro CHF, I'll go through that one quickly. And I'll take a look at dollar CAD as well. Jonathan, I think ETH is better trade so far. Off all-time highs have been long from 1800. Nice. Yeah, I do agree. I think there's more bang for your buck there with the Ethereum. Bitcoin, of course, all-time highs. Not much you can do with that, to be honest, apart from if you're looking to short-term trade that. If you're looking to buy and hold, then you have to go where there's value, and there is no value. There is no value with Bitcoin right now. Need that pullback. But yeah, in terms of Euro CHF, not a big fan of the price action, to be honest. It's just very, very messy. You said you're looking for a pullback to 96.5 or... Are you waiting for a push to 96.5? That will take us back to here, roughly. Okay, so you're waiting for price to break through that, I suppose? The high elf? Not too sure what you're getting at. We are quite far away from that as well. I mean, my main kind of outlook on the Euro Swiss is that we're just respecting support here very well. So I kind of do expect us to push to the upside, which is where my kind of longer term bullish bias comes from. But just the 4-hour chart is just very, very rough. So I would advise to stay away from trying to entering trades in that area. Yeah, not looking great. Maybe if you come back into support again, perhaps there could be a nice idea there, but for the most part, very, very rough price action. We'll go through dollar CAD, then we'll take a look at ETH as well. No problem, Yusuf, happy to help. I also re-entered the pound USD trade because of the wick, though it's not as big as gold. Okay. Yeah, Yusuf, I would say go experiment with those wicks because, again, wicks are very, very powerful. And, if you can develop an entry technique just using the wicks off that, it gives another dimension to your trading because, with using trend lines and moving averages, they're very, very effective when you use them together. But there will be scenarios which I think you'll experience by now where they don't meet up and you miss out on some moves just because the confluences didn't line up well, but you might have been expecting that move to happen. So potentially having a second entry technique, which doesn't utilize those same confluences, can allow you to take advantage of some extra trades, which maybe you would have missed out if you solely focused on trend lines and moving averages, which is why what I said earlier, having another entry type could be beneficial for that. But that's definitely something where once you've mastered the first one, then you can add the second one. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you've got like 5 different entry techniques and you're not really seeing much consistency yet. That's probably the reason why. So once you've got that consistency and you're confident, I mixed up those two words, confident and comfortable. Once you're confident and comfortable with one entry technique, then you can look to add another one. Let me go take a look at... Okay, I hear you. So if we break through that level, we change market structure, then you're looking for price to push higher. Okay. Damn, 1.6. That's all the way up there. That's a humongous move, high elf. Humongous move. But yeah, I would agree. If we can take up the high, your structure is shifting, and we would turn around from a massive perspective, from a weekly, monthly chart perspective. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Okay, let's jump over to dollar CAD, and I'll go take a look at Ethereum as well. No problem, Julius. Happy to help. I appreciate it. Kindly hit the like button and sub button. Appreciate it. One love. Thanks, Julius. Yeah, guys, if you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like. It does really help out, and I do really appreciate everyone who has liked and subbed. What's up, Ahmed? Good morning. I hope you're well. So yeah, as I said, for dollar CAD, just pull back some more downsides. Dollar's looking very bearish. I kind of expect that to continue probably throughout next week as well. I think the DXY can probably drop back into 98.1 or 98, we'll call it. So if the dollar's going to make that move there, then that's going to invite at least 2 or 3 or 4 bearish days there for the USD, which should drag dollar CAD lower with it. Of course, provided CAD is somewhat strong or just not as weak as the dollar, of course. But I do think we're just going to nestle back at those lows. I find it very difficult to believe that we're suddenly just going to turn around there for dollar CAD. So yeah, the likelihood is that we do keep falling back into support. So the only way I can see to trade that would just be a pullback into some structure, and then again anticipating the low high to form and some continuations off the back of that. That was our previous swing high, lovely drop. We'll look for the next one for another drop there. I did speak on a retest of this low, didn't happen. Possibly it might still happen, but that looks like the more reasonable expectation. So pullbacks there for dollar CAD, but I do still see price falling back to 1.376. In terms of Ethereum, so yeah, I do agree. This is where you can find, opportunity, because there is an opportunity for Bitcoin at all-time highs. Yes, we could go further, but let's say even if price does push to, let's say price even does push to 150K, which is a huge move from the highs. Even that's just more or less, well, it's not even 50% increase, is it? We're trading at 110K, so it's not even a 50% increase there in price, which is still massive. But if you were to buy Ethereum at current price, which is 2,600, trade that back to highs, you're probably looking at a similar rate there. Even just 5K is almost double as well. So you're looking at, potentially 100% there, more or less around that. And that's price just coming back to all-time highs, not even talking about a bigger move from that as well. So there's definitely more bang for your buck there for Ethereum, just because it's a lot lower down. If you're looking to trade Bitcoin, it's more of a short-term basis, really. I mean, I'm not saying you can't invest in Bitcoin, of course not, but the returns, potentially might not be as good as Ethereum if Ethereum does catch up. Some people are quite scared that Ethereum might not do that, but I think give it time, Ethereum will be back at all-time highs. Anyway, so Ethereum, in terms of current price, it's still a bit awkward, I must say. It's not just a green light with Ethereum. Yes, if it does get back to highs, great return on investment there, but I think we are still a little bit awkward right now. Lovely momentum, yes, but we're coming into some areas where we could run into trouble, and potentially even a lower high does develop there. So I would be a little bit weary of that. I'm still very bullish on Ethereum. I think we can push higher, but again, in terms of the technicals, it's not looking absolutely brilliant right now. We could still very much run into trouble and put another lower high in. Get a kind of like a triple top over there. I think a lower high and a push down is not something unreasonable, so I would be a bit cautious there for Ethereum. I do think eventually we'll push up, but the technicals still kind of on the bearish side of things. Even despite the bullish momentum we've seen, I still think we can have somewhat of a drop. So I would be wary of that. But again, it depends what you're looking at. If you're looking to buy Ethereum, forget about it, then you're not too bothered. I'm speaking more from a trading perspective. Good morning, Alan. Welcome to the stream. Long Tesla, okay, but waiting for a pullback. Okay, we'll have a look at Tesla. I haven't looked at Tesla in ages. Risk reward ETH is great, of course, yeah. Even if we get to 4K is good. Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true. Yeah, because even 150K for Bitcoin is a hell of a move. I think looking at 120, 130 is a bit more of a realistic push for Bitcoin. But Ethereum can return to 4K, like you said. That's still a very good return. 5K, just about scraping the all-time highs. I think that's a great return as well, of course, back at the all-time highs. But at current price, you're 2,600. It's more or less double. So, yeah, there is that risk reward there for Ethereum. It's just taking its time, because Bitcoin has seen new all-time highs on like 2 different occasions, whereas Ethereum last all-time high was back in 2021. And if you go take a look at Bitcoin in 2021, price was over here, and then since then we created a new all-time high, created another all-time high, and we're doing that again. So actually 3 separate occasions. So since 2021, Bitcoin has been creating these bullish cycles. Ethereum hasn't. It's had its runs, yes, but hasn't come back to attack highs in the same period of time. So that is a bit of a worry maybe, but again, I think it's just biding its time, really. I think it's just biding its time. I don't know how long for. It could be another 3, 4 years before it does it. Who knows? But I do think Ethereum can get back to highs. Again, not investment advice or financial advice. I have to make sure I say that as well. Okay, let's go through. Have I gone through the markets? I said I'll go through. If I have missed out a pair, let me know. If someone requested a pair and I just haven't got round to it, don't be afraid to drop it down in the chat again. But okay, I'll go through pound USD for Yusuf. You said that I entered the pound USD trade because of the wick though. Okay, I'll take a look at that. And then I'll go through Tesla and oil as well. Breaking me Tesla 2.7k, so that's the high, I assume. I mean, yeah, again, breaking me Tesla that high, that's good in terms of market structure. We're creating new highs as well, retesting levels. That's a good thing for Ethereum. Doesn't necessarily mean that, okay, we're going to push back to all-time highs now or push to 4k even. It might just be another bullish swing. A sell-off could still happen at any point in time. So, yeah, in terms of market structure, that's a good thing for Ethereum. Just doesn't necessarily mean that we're just going to keep pushing. Structure still doesn't look particularly great, I would say, on the higher time frames. So pound USD, Yusuf, you said you bought on the wick on the 15. I assume last night as well, which would be here, I assume, somewhere around here. I mean, that's where we're getting all the wicks there yesterday. But yeah, I mean, it was most part pretty much consolidation. We did see the double bottom play out, to be honest. I was a bit skeptical of the double bottom just because we're at the all-time, I keep saying all-time highs now, because we were at the prior highs here. So I advised probably not to take the trade, but in this case, it did work out. But yeah, really lovely move there for pound USD. Lovely double bottom there and a humongous swing to the upside. Things are looking very, very bullish right now. So yeah, like I said, Yusuf, experiment with those wicks. It could be a nice thing to add to your arsenal. And allow you to take positions where you don't really get all of your confidence, but you can still take a trade. Okay, let's take a look at Tesla. It's been a while, to be honest. I think, yeah, that's the last time I had a look at Tesla. So since then, we've been pretty bullish. I remember I was talking about this kind of like channel price was forming. It would have been nice to pick up some longs here, but we didn't quite see enough of a drop there. We did get a pullback. It came back to retest support, and then it rallied from there. I was looking to see if we can come back and test the trend line again for another high low and then push up. But it looks like Tesla was just a bit too bullish for that. But yeah, as a whole, Tesla's looking very good, I must say. It's kind of broken out of this massive high and this kind of, let me clear this out of the way, and this kind of range here temporarily. So that's a strong indication of bullish momentum coming to the market now. So yeah, I would suggest a retest of this area would be a phenomenal place for a buy. Really nice place for a buy, because it could be a position where you buy into and if things go well, maybe you try and push back to the highs, or at least these highs anyway. So I think, yeah, Tesla looking very bullish. I agree, longs look good. You said you're long Allen but waiting for a pullback. Yeah, I would be looking for a pullback as well. I think buys look very, very good for this one. Around the 300 mark, I would suggest. And if you could hold from there, we could probably make our way back to all-time highs. I don't really see why we can't there. I think maybe this could be a nice intermediate target on the way. But yeah, in terms of market structure, momentum, buys are looking pretty good there for Tesla. Okay, so we'll take a look at oil next. PLRZ. Okay, we'll have a look at that. Good morning, Derek from Kenya. Big up. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Jonathan, loads of great opportunity for crypto. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because Bitcoin, of course, is the big one. It's hit 100K now. So the value for Bitcoin is obviously going to be not as good as it once was. But yeah, my take would just be focused on the slightly smaller ones where there's still value. If things can double, that's a great return on investment. For Bitcoin to double now, you need price to get to what, 220K, and that's gonna take us some work. Ethereum doubling, not that much effort. Of course, it still is going to require a lot. We haven't been back to highs in like 4 years, so there's still a lot of work to do there. But I feel like Ethereum's got a better chance to double in a quicker period than Bitcoin. And of course, you've got some other cryptocurrencies even smaller, like you mentioned there, Jonathan, which could probably double a lot easier as well. So I think in terms of return on investment and bang for your buck, the smaller ones are probably where it's at. But in terms of just stability, of course, Bitcoin would be the best. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Tesla, looking pretty bullish. Let's go through oil. What's oil been doing? Okay, so oil's not looked too great. I still like that 66 level. I'm still looking to see if if oil could get there. So this lovely level of support, tested on a few occasions. If I take this back, you can see actually was support previously over there as well, but more just fixated on the recent times. So 66, really nice healthy level of support on the daily chart. If price would be kind enough to come back and retest that, I think that's a great place to be looking to short the market again and potentially hold on for a big swing back into lows there. So that's really my take there for oil from a swing perspective. A little bit more intraday or intra-week. I don't think price action is looking particularly great, to be honest, because we have held resistance here pretty well, especially with that big wick there. So it does look like we're really struggling. And perhaps we don't actually go and test 66. I think there is a world where we do have a bit of a drop beforehand there. Because, yeah, the fact that we're respecting resistance so well is a bit of a worry there. I am pretty bearish on oil, so I'm looking for us to return back to lows here. But the original plan was the test of 66. But as I look on the lower time frames, it looks like 63 might be the level to send us back down again. So if I was looking at oil, I'd probably wait and see if I can get another test of resistance there. If things look good, I would look to enter a position there, stops above the high, and try and see if I can swing it back into support. If that fails, then yeah, 66 is back on the cards. We'll look for entries in that area. But at the moment, I'm struggling to see price push to 66 now, especially with the way price is forming up at the highs here. So yeah, oil, I think we can see another drop, to be honest. It's not looking too hot. What's this? PLRZ. I have not looked at this market before, and it looks horrendous right now. Can we get a pop? I mean, not a lot of information here, to be honest. Again, I've focused purely on my technicals. And just because there's a lack of information, I wouldn't really look to do anything, to be honest. And that looks horrendous as well. I mean, that's just the volume chart, actually. It's not even the price action. So yeah, I don't really have an answer to that question, to be honest. If we can get a pop, I think so. But again, that's more of me just guessing rather than educated guess, to be honest. The reason I say that is because we're very, very fatigued and we've already had a big spike, so I would expect another one. But there's not a lot of information to go off there. Yeah. And again, that's just with the lack of price action. And sometimes when you get markets where you're not seeing a lot of candlesticks and you don't have a lot of information to go from, that's when, especially if you're a technical trader, you're in a little bit of a dilemma because no problem, Alan, happy to help because of the lack of information. You know, the more information you have, the better, which is one of the reasons why I look at FXCM. People ask sometimes, why do you use the FXCM broker in terms of your data feed for your charts for TradingView? And the reason why I use FXCM is because I can go all the way back to sometimes the 70s. For Euro USD, I can go back to 1971 here. Of course, I'm not going to use the price action from 1971, but it's just because I've got more data here, I can make a more effective decision. And again, I'm not looking to swing a trade for like a year, so it just allows me to look at the overall kind of market bias in all its glory with as much detail as possible. If the market just cut off here, that probably leads me to believe that Euro USD just been in a long-term downtrend. Whereas seeing all the way back here, I can actually see we've been in an uptrend, and maybe price is coming back to an area where we potentially could look to reverse this. That information gives me that. Again, not necessarily something I'm going to look to trade, but it just helps my thinking on the higher time frames. And that's the reason why I choose FXCM as the brokerage I use for the data feed on TradingView. If you use, let's say, Oanda, if I scroll back, you can see I only go back to 2003, which is, again, more than enough data you need. I'm not saying that's not enough, of course not. But knowing what we've done over here helps aid my bias as well. So the more price action I can see, the better. And it makes me make more informed decisions. And also you can just see how price reacts within history, more information. When something like this happened in the world, well, what did price do? You can see that as well, and that can help with your decision making. But yeah, at the moment I'm only in one position, which is New Zealand CHF long. I just hopped into it this morning, so it's very, very fresh. But I am expecting a lot more upside for the CHF pairs, New Zealand CHF and Aussie CHF in particular. I hopped into it on that last 4-hour candle, so we're going to see how that goes. That was just before I entered I hopped into the stream actually. But yeah, seeing some upside at the moment, but still very, very early doors. I was actually debating New Zealand CAD as well. Some longs on that one. I was actually debating between New Zealand CHF and New Zealand CAD. The reason why I choose New Zealand CHF is just because I expect to see a cleaner trend with New Zealand CHF. The reason why I'm buying New Zealand CHF is because we're coming from all-time lows. These are all-time lows here. So I do expect us to kind of trend higher, like so. I'm not expecting necessarily a smooth trend. I'm just expecting a smoother trend than New Zealand CAD, which if I zoom out, look at the bigger picture, it's a very flat market. Since July 2023, this is probably our average price here. We haven't really done anything. So with that information, New Zealand CAD is a very flat pair at the moment, which doesn't mean you can't see swings, of course not, but it's going to take its time and it's going to be a lot slower as well. So because of that, I decided to go with New Zealand CHF, and the risk reward was slightly better as well. If I did take the trade, I'm looking at maybe a 1.69 there. But the New Zealand CHF long position, I'm looking at a 1 to 4 back to the extreme target, but at least the 1 to 2 back into the high there as well. So the risk reward was slightly better. I expect to see a slightly cleaner trend here. And for those two reasons, I decided to hop into New Zealand CHF. But very similar trades, both kind of banking on the NZD being strong. But I didn't want to take them both because they'll both probably fail or work, to be honest. Good morning, Alex. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. What is up? What is up? Amazon is also still bullish. I haven't actually looked at Amazon in a while either. I'll take a look at that one. Yes, sure thing, Alex. Gold as well. Yeah, we'll take a look, Alan. Still holding for about 3 days now. Okay, nice. Do you have a specific target for gold, Alan, or are you just holding just to see how price moves, or are you trading stops? How are you managing that trade? Best to short the stocks. Yeah, true. Fundamentally, stocks is pants. Yeah, especially with stocks like that as well. They can be pretty volatile too, just because there's not that much liquidity as well, at least compared to other markets. Personally, I just focus on FX really. I do trade gold and silver as well. Start trading US 30. I probably look to try and add oil to my watch list as well this year as well. So yeah, I mean FX, because that's really what I started with when I first was introduced to trading. That's always been my intention. Majors, minors, and actually when I first started, I was looking at exotic currencies as well. But since then, I have ditched them. But yeah, I just like keeping it relatively simple. I don't really kind of gravitate towards stocks, to be honest. Maybe I can see myself trading some of the bigger ones, like maybe Tesla. You know, the bigger ones, Meta. I can probably see myself doing that in the future, maybe. But at the moment, I've got more than enough markets which I look at currently. So adding to the markets I trade is something I still want to do because I want to give myself the best opportunity possible. But it's not something where it's an urgency. Anyway, let's take a look at Amazon. What's the ticker for Amazon? Is it just Amazon? No, AMZN. Okay, I'll bear that in mind. Anyway, Amazon looking healthy. Beautiful uptrend there. A huge gap there though. It kind of moves a bit like the S&P, I'm not gonna lie. The way it formed the low there, or the high there, sorry, broke it. Kind of moving like the S&P, which is insane. But anyway, there's your high. That's where I expect price to eventually make its way to. It would be nice to fill the gap as well, to be honest, around 194. But the way I see it, we've broken structure. I'm looking at this as a pullback. And if we can come in, retest structure, fill the gap as well, that would be nice. I would expect price to push on. 200 moving average on the daily chart. Yeah, price just about breaking above that as well. That might act as support as well. But yeah, Amazon looking bullish as well. I agree, Alan. Okay, so I'll go through oil quickly and we'll take a look at gold as well. What's up, Lauder? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. How to trade Tesla and Amazon, please? Is it through options or what? I'm actually not too sure, to be honest. I know some brokers do offer it. IC Markets do offer it as a CFD. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I've never really looked to trade stocks at all. The only time I look at stocks, to be honest, is when someone recommends it on a stream. I mean, I do keep tabs on the S&P and stuff, but that's an indice. Anyway, so in terms of, is it gold next? No, oil. So yeah, in terms of oil, as I said with this one, still pretty bearish. It looks like the high is holding. This is not. It looks like the high is holding. So we spoke last time about this resistance, Alex. I think this was, early in the week, Tuesday. So we held resistance there pretty well. I still do like 66. I think that's a really nice place for a short. And we can probably still get it back into those lows there, of course, as we respect it. But yeah, I am less confident that we get there now, especially with the way price is respecting resistance. So I would suggest if we were to return there, that could still be a really nice place for a short. If we could see price reject it well, I think that's a nice place to enter, stops above, and possibly capitalize on a swing back to support, or at least just back to these levels. Doesn't have to be the home run trade, of course, but I think that's still a sensible move. If that doesn't hold, well, we still got 66, which is a really nice level on the daily chart. Of course, support there again. Could very much act as resistance and send us right back down. So still a very attractive area there in the market. So I would keep an eye on both of those levels, really. At the moment, we're trading at support that might be a short-term buy to take advantage of. I was talking about the buys last week, so potentially you could stab into that level again. That could take us higher, so a bit more of an intraday idea. But I think the bigger move is likely with the sellers. So if we don't sell off from 63.5 there, then I'll look for 66 and look for the swing from there. But yeah, pretty bearish on oil. There might be some short-term buys to keep an eye on for, but if I was to take the buy, I want price to spike back down again before the buy there, just so we're back in support before we rally. Can you also explain the use of, explain you use the 200 level EMA? Well, I was using the SMA, so not the EMA. And I don't really use the 200 that frequently. I don't really look at it in my personal trading, to be honest with you. I only use it really with indices and some of the larger stocks as well, because I know that the 200 SMA is a very, very popular gauge in terms of market trend and market direction. So a lot of people do pay attention to it, especially for like the S&P 500. So it's actually very, very famous for people to look at that to gauge the market trend. And it does work pretty well. You know, looking back at previous data, it does give you a good indication of when the market is bullish and when the market is bearish. So when we're above it, that's a bullish environment, predominantly looking to buy the market. When below it, it's a bearish environment, predominantly looking to sell the market, or you can also use it as an excuse to pick up some longer term buys as well. But more so above it buy, below it sell sort of situation. But yeah, I don't really use an FX. Main reason because FX doesn't trend as well as the S&P, for example. You know, if I just get a random chart, let's say pound CAD, for example, random FX market. Actually, no, let's use a, I mean, we'll use this one, but I'll use a USD major pair as well. You can see we don't trend the same. So above it buy, below it sell doesn't work as well. Of course, in this environment, lovely trend there. It did its job pretty well. But here, you would definitely be losing money. Here, did an okay job there, to be honest. Here, not as great. There, pretty decent job. Here becomes quite choppy, not really effective. There, not bad. There, not bad. Here becomes very choppy. Wow. It's very, very dotty over there. Let's take a look at Euro USD, for example, here as well. So again, here, not very well. There, probably performed pretty good. There, pretty good. There, you'll be very messy. Over here, not great as well. So you can see it's just not the same situation as the S&P, because the S&P has the overall bullish trend, so it becomes effective. So for that reason, I don't really use the 200 SMA with FX markets, because in my opinion, probably does a bit more harm than good, at least from a trend perspective. If you can use it as support resistance, yeah, sure, it can help you trading from that perspective, but not really in terms of direction. I think if you can just understand market structure well, that will help you a lot more. But yeah, for the S&P, like I said, just use it in terms of to gauge the market in terms of trend. Same thing for major stocks as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But you can use it in different ways. I do have a video on my channel about that. If you go to my Forex education playlist, you can find it there. But I personally don't use it, to be honest. Okay, training stop at targeting 3,500, break before the final target 4K. Okay, first target's 3,500. Okay, I'll go through gold. Andre, pound USD, yes, it is. Looks like it's breaking the top there. I'll go through pound USD and Navid. I will take a look at New Zealand CHF as well. First, let me have a look at gold. So you said your first target's 3,500, which is basically the highs. And then, okay, so your training stop at target's 3,500, final target 4K. Okay, so you're looking for a very big move. Very, very big move there for gold. I mean, makes sense in this bullish climate. We very much could see that move. But of course, I think trading stops is a very important management plan with that, because we very much could hit 4K, but you know, a lot can happen in that time, and of course we very much might not. There's a higher chance that price is going to hit a random price and come back down, then price is going to hit 4K. So trading stops allows you to, you know, guarantee yourself those profits that you do trail. And yeah, if price doesn't work out, it will trail you out for a win, whatever the size of it as well. So I do like the fact that you're trading stops as well, because I sometimes do see people with, there's nothing wrong with having big targets. You know, 4K is a massive target. Nothing wrong with having big targets. But if you're just going to enter a trade, have a stop loss here, and then just say, okay, I'm going to expect price to go and hit 4K now, not really realistic, especially from a psychological standpoint as well. If you're trading with size, you know, you're going to see your profits flow up and down. And for, yeah, potentially price might get very close and come back down against you. Well, how are you going to manage that? And a trading stop is a great way to do that. So, again, nothing wrong with having big targets, but you want to manage your position on the way there as well. Of course, you want to give yourself enough room for the target to play out. You don't want to be too closely managing over the trade, because then you're just not going to see the big move at all. That's, of course, a soft kind of, you know, it's difficult to gauge that perfectly, but you want to give yourself enough room for the trade to play out, but not too much room that, you know, you're trading and your stop loss enough. But I do like that. Okay, so pound USD, New Zealand CHF, we'll take a look. Jonathan, 200 EMA works well in intraday time frames. Hourly below with the 50 EMA personally. That's how I trade yesterday. Caught USD CAD, rejected the 50 EMA on the 1 hour. Nice. Yeah, I think in terms of support resistance, they're very, very effective. In terms of direction, I feel like if you just understand market structure, that's a more of a clear-cut understanding of which way price is likely to move, because it's a leading indicator. You know, if price breaks structure, it's telling you right now structure's breaking. You know, potentially we're going to reverse here. And if the market's creating higher highs and higher lows, you know, it's an uptrend, and lower lows and lower highs is a bearish trend. So market structure, you know, tells you what price is doing with price itself. So it's a great technique to gauge market direction. Moving averages are great as well. But because FX markets chop around a lot, you will see times where no matter what moving average you choose will be kind of in and out of price and looking a little bit scruffy. But as support resistance, I do think this can be very effective as well, accompanied with other tools, with like using support resistance, and then you've got extra support with the moving average as well. Of course, maybe using candlestick patterns too. It can create very powerful opportunities. But in terms of direction, especially for FX, I'm not a big fan. If it's like an indice, yeah, 100%. I think the 200 SMA or EMA is a good gauge of direction. Anyway, so pound USD, yes, it's at the high. It looks like it's breaking out. I did suggest that maybe waiting for price to close and then looking for some pullbacks next week might be the smart move for pound. Because I do believe things are looking very bullish, and this is probably the likely breakout for pound USD. But at the same time, I don't want to be buying pound USD just yet, because let's say if we do start to pull back, I'll start to leave a bit of a wick down the daily chart, and who knows, by the end of the day we might pull back and close below, and then you've got a big wick there to the upside, indicating more rejection, not necessarily a breakout. If we can close anywhere around there by the end of today, that confirms to us that not only from a daily perspective the market's breaking out, but from a weekly perspective as well, because today's Friday, we're going to get the weekly close today as well. So that would indicate that the weekly is showing momentum above resistance as well. So that means next week, so Monday, Tuesday, pullbacks there make a lot more sense, and the probability of price respecting support is arguably a lot higher as well. So I think pullbacks from next week look really good for pound. But yeah, price is clearly breaking resistance now. As I said, I'll just wait for the end of the day to really confirm that, and then pullbacks later on make sense there. But I do think USD still got some more weakness to it, so that should still drive price higher there for pound. But yeah, very, very bullish stuff there for pound. New Zealand CHF, I'm actually in a trade for this one at the moment. I'm buying it. I do think we can see a bit more upside here for New Zealand CHF. Personally, I'm still looking for a pretty big swing actually, but at least looking for a push back to highs here. You can probably consider this as a range, to be honest, and price is respecting the lower end of the range. So now I do think we can rally back to resistance here. Essentially what I'm looking to take advantage of is the fact that we've created new all-time high, all-time lows, not highs. We've created new all-time lows, and I'm expecting price to now retrace that. So that's really what I'm trying to take advantage of here with New Zealand CHF. And the fact that price has pushed into support well, rejected it well, give me a strong confirmation. That's invited me into the trade. Now I'm looking to see if we can get that rally. So that's all I'm trying to take advantage of there for New Zealand CHF. That's kind of my upper target. If things go very well, but I'll be happy if I can at least get a push to there. So yeah, New Zealand CHF, very bullish on, very bullish on. So bullish that I'm buying it. But yeah, it looks good to me. The trading stops really breaking. Okay, yeah, yeah, nice, Alan. I do back it. It's just an incredible move away to the 4K. So as long as you can trail a little bit, lock in some gains along the way, I think you're in a good place. I was also debating entering NZD JPY longs as well, but I had three opportunities this morning on NZD pairs, NZD CAD, NZD Yen, and NZD Swiss. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to take all three of them. They're all NZD. I'm banking heavy on NZD playing out there, seeing NZD strength. But I like New Zealand CHF the best, coming from all-time lows. The fact that we can see upside was better. So I just chose that one. But ideally, I could have picked any one of them. Jonathan, 8 and 21 EMA works well for direction on D1. Check it out. But I agree, nothing beats price action. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different techniques, different combinations of moving averages. I've met and spoken with a lot of people that use many different combinations. 8 and 21 I've heard before. 7 and 14. 33 and 66. 14 and 21. I think 5 and something else, I forget. There's different combinations. The key thing is consistency. That's the key thing. It doesn't really matter too much. Of course, there will be some combinations better than others for specific situations, like you mentioned there, Jonathan. But I think the key thing is consistency and being good at it as well. Because if you just fling on a random moving average and kind of just use it randomly, of course you're going to get random results. But if you have a moving average, which you're going to be consistent with, use it in the correct times, in the correct market conditions, and use it well with other confluences as well, that can be a great way to extract profits from the market. As I come to realize with more experience, very, very basic systems and trading strategies can be very, very profitable. It's just about how the trader deploys that into the market. If you have a breakout strategy, but you trade it in choppy conditions, if you have a trending strategy, but you trade it in choppy conditions, you're not going to get anywhere. It doesn't matter how good that trending strategy is. If you trade it in the wrong conditions, you're going to get rubbish results. You have to be in the right condition and trade it at the right time for it to make sense. And you can do that at a very basic level and make very, very good gains with it. Complex doesn't equal more profits. Of course, deep understanding of the market is good, but sometimes you can get lost in the sauce a little bit. What's up, Omar? Hope you're well. DXY, okay. I will take a look for you. Alan, I use 50 EMA for trend direction. Yeah, that's fine as well. Again, the consistency and getting better with it is an important element to that. Personally, I just use market structure. It's kind of what I started with basically when I started trading, and I've just been getting better and improving my understanding of market structure and the way I use it. So that's always been my kind of my kind of shoulder to lean on, really. Market structure that paints direction and allows me to find areas which I want to buy and sell in as well. I've dabbled with moving averages for direction. From my understanding, indices are very powerful with moving averages. FX, not as. It can still be powerful, but you need to use it at the right times. And just because FX chops around a bit, it can be a little bit more tricky. Anyway, let's take a look at the DXY. So dollar looks pretty bearish to me. So I'm just expecting more downside, to be honest, with the dollar. Looking for a push back into 98. Of course, we're still trending, trading into support and demand, if you will. So this is not the best area to be looking to sell the dollar. In fact, yesterday I was talking about a retest of 100.4, which was this level, as a nice place to short and then expect another drop. We had one high there, second. I was looking for a third for a continuation, but we just tested some areas here around 100 there, and from there we are looking pretty bearish. So I think the next best opportunity for the dollar would be another break of support and then some retest of that low, and then so on and so forth, more downside back into the lows. Market's looking pretty bearish to me. The trend we've had since the start of the year just looks to be continuing right now. So I think a push back to lows looks pretty likely. So yeah, pretty bearish in the dollar. I think for the next 2, 3, 4 days, maybe next week, pretty much, I think we can still see some weakness in the dollar. And yeah, that should help Euro rally, pound rally, maybe Aussie breakout to the upside finally. Maybe gold and silver might rally a little bit there as well. That'll probably help out some of the indices as well. So yeah, could be seeing a bearish USD for now. Yusuf, I've heard you mention the V-shaped pattern before, but I can't remember your view on them. I tried back on previous stream, but can't find it. Yeah, V-shaped patterns, very powerful patterns. I like trading them a lot. When I see them, they perform well. Probably one of my favorite patterns to trade, actually, I would say, actually. From my experience, they work out pretty well. Very kind of high success rate for just the pattern alone. Most patterns in trading are kind of like 55, 60%. I would say V-shaped patterns are north of 60, really. That's how powerful they are. The only thing with V-shaped patterns, they don't normally give you the biggest pullback sometimes, so the risk reward on them might not be particularly great. Sometimes you do get some juicy pullbacks and they look good. But essentially a V-shaped pattern is, let's say the market is bearish, we're pushing down, then you get a sharp move to the downside, followed by a sharp recovery, hence the V. So yeah, that's the V there. And that's the pattern essentially. You want a sharp move down, a sharp move up, and an inverse V-shaped pattern would be like an uptrend, and the market has a very big move to the upside and push down. Now the key characteristic is a very big move in one direction followed by a very big move, engulfing that previous move. Because you could say, okay, all of these are V-shaped patterns here, but that's not the same thing. You want to see a kind of out of characteristic big move down followed by a big recovery. Same thing to the upside there as well. And I can show you some examples. And basically what the pattern resembles is that you're going to expect to see a reversal. So you're expecting more upside here, you're expecting more downside there. So the plan for the pattern is, can we see a pullback? Can I get in there to trade it on the way down? Can I see a pullback? Can I get in there, trade it on the way up? So that's the trading idea of it. The pattern is a reversal essentially, but the trading is you want to see a pullback to then buy it or a pullback then to sell it. And some examples recently, dollar CAD, which I actually was trading earlier in the year. This pattern here, so you can see there's your uptrend on the way up. Ooh, there's your uptrend on the way up. There's your out of characteristic push up, and there's your push back down, giving you an inverse V-shaped pattern. Again, you want it to be relatively quick, push up, push down, and you want it to be quite big as well. You don't want to give every move that kind of merit. It needs to be a pretty big one. The bigger the better, really. And then, yeah, we had a V-shaped pattern there. This is the pullback. This is where I got short. I was actually trailed out for a small profit, actually, because it did come up and take me out of the trade there. But this is where I got in. And then you can see pretty big move there to the downside. Another one which I like, I think a couple years back, Euro USD. Really nice V-shaped pattern over here. You can see a lovely uptrend there. And you get a very outer characteristic, push up, push down. This one didn't actually give a pullback at the time, but it would have been nice for a short. We've had a lot of recent ones, Aussie dollar, big V-shaped pattern, which I've actually been looking for a pullback of, but we just haven't seen. So there's your out of characteristic sell-off followed by recovery. I've been looking for the pullback for the buy. It hasn't happened yet. New Zealand CAD, one I've been looking to buy as well. This one has actually given a pullback, but I decided to trade New Zealand CHF, so I didn't take the trade here. But actually, I did get long here actually a couple of weeks back, but I was taken out for break even there as well. But again, for this, I do expect to push up. There's your V-shaped pattern. Now I'm expecting the push up. So very, very powerful pattern. I'll probably do a video on that actually. I don't think I have done a video on the V-shaped pattern, come to think of it. So yeah, just give me an idea there. So yeah, I probably would do a video on that, but very, very powerful pattern, and you can use it in both directions. Lauder, thoughts on US 30 NAS? Okay, I will take a look. Very bullish on them, to be honest. Lebsy, I like New Zealand CAD longs too, but I'm not getting involved because I'm bothered by that weekly inefficiency to the downside price. Yeah, fair enough. If you've got the expectation that, or the want to see price fulfill that before a push up. Again, the worst thing to do is just get into a trade just because you feel like you might miss out on it. And then you see price stop you out, go and do what you said it will do, and then push up. That's when you kind of kick yourself and you're like, duh, yeah, we'll wait for price to do what I want it to, then buy. So I fully agree with that. Yeah, I like New Zealand CAD buys, just a bit flat. If it took up the lows here, it would definitely increase the probability of the trades, but we didn't quite do that. But yeah, I do think we are likely to push up. But yeah, I'm long New Zealand CHF. I was debating between New Zealand CHF and New Zealand CAD this morning, but I went with New Zealand CHF instead. Do you think Nasdaq is forming a V shape on the daily time frame? I do. I think all the you know what, the indices do the V shape pattern quite a lot. It's literally a part of their characteristics, to be honest. You can see a V shape there. Not really a V shape there, but almost one. This is a massive V shape there. That's a big V shape there. That's another big V shape there. It's when they have the kind of really rapid sell-offs. This was a bit slower, so I wouldn't really call that one, but that's one as well. This is one that's happening at the moment, which I'm pretty sure is the one you're referencing to. That's a V-shaped pattern, so yeah, I do expect us just to climb higher and go and take the highs out. So yeah, very, very powerful pattern. Of course, it's not going to work all the time. No pattern does. I'm not saying this is just a magical pattern that will give you unlimited profits. Of course not. There'll be times it fails, but just like with any pattern, you can kind of work out conditions where it works a little bit more, or where it just fails a little bit more. So you just ignore that. But yeah, I would say the NAS is definitely giving us a V shape on the higher time frames as well. But yeah, so Lauder, in terms of US 100 and US 30, yeah, I'm still bullish as well, looking for higher prices as well. The areas which I said look good for a buy for the S&P is this area here. We've got a bit of a gap there as well, which price could potentially go in fill. So I think that would be a nice touch there for the S&P. And I believe we're also coming into the 200 moving average. Might dip below it a little bit, but roughly use it as support. But yeah, I think that's a really nice place for a buy. Very, very bullish on the S&P. I do think we can push higher. So 57.20 looks really good. I do think price can push back to the highs there. In terms of NAS, pretty much the same idea. I've got a couple areas which I've mapped out, the retest of that range and also the retest of the gap similar to the S&P. Both areas look pretty good. Similar situation, I believe, with the 200 moving average. Yeah, lines up pretty well with that zone there. But either of those levels look like a really good buy to me. And yeah, I do expect us just to nestle back at the all-time highs as well. So yeah, and this one, again, V-shaped pattern there as well. Impulse down, impulse back up. I do expect us to keep pushing higher. US 30 is the one that is a little bit awkward, I must say, because we're still respecting the 200 moving average and still respecting resistance there. So I wouldn't say the buys actually look great, to be honest. I do expect us still to get back to the high, actually, because I'm expecting NAS and the S&P to get back to their swing highs. So it would be a very weird situation for the S&P and the NAS to get back to their all-time highs, but US 30 doesn't. They're pretty much moved the same, 8, 9 times out of 10. So if they're going to get back to all-time highs, US 30 is more than likely to join them. It just might be a slower move. We might push down a little bit because we're respecting resistance pretty well and then push up, but I do expect us to push higher. So I wouldn't say the buys look as clear-cut with US 30, I must say. I think this is still a nice area for a buy, filling the gap there as well. So 41,600 I still say is a nice place for a buy, but I think US 100 looks just a lot cleaner. So I'd rather put my eggs in that basket there. But US 30, I think is also in a sensible place for a buy. If we can hold this area too. I might even consider this area here as well, 4,800. But yeah, I would say NAS looks a little bit cleaner. What's up, cricket lover? Hope you're well. So yeah, US 30, that would be my take. No problem, Yusuf, happy to help. So no, okay, I'll finish up on New Zealand yen. I was actually debating entering some buys on New Zealand yen, but because I was entering NZD-CHF, I didn't want to double up on the NZD. They're both probably going to fail or work, to be honest, so I might as well just stick to one, see that trade out. But yeah, New Zealand yen, I do think there's upside on the cards here. I'm looking for a push back to the high. The reason why I like the buys is because we broke structure. This was the high, we cleared the high, and now I'm expecting a higher low and a push up. I also like it because we took out this kind of weaker low, taking some liquidity below that as well. And I think it's in a smart place for a buy. We've pushed just about into this area of demand here, where we stalled briefly, strong push up, we've tapped into that. I do think we can rally here, and if that's the case, it could take us back to highs. My number one area was waiting for a push back into support here, 83.5, but at the moment in time, I'm not too sure if that's going to happen. I mean, if this fails, then yeah, 83.5 is back on the cards, and that would be an idea I look to get involved with. But yeah, I do think we can probably see a rally from here. Things are looking good. Momentum's entering the market. I like it. But as I said, I hopped into New Zealand CHF, so I'm just going to see how that goes. But anyway, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning into another stream. I will be live again next week, as always, from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, come say hi, come chat with us. Everyone is, of course, welcome. Make sure you check out the Discord. It is linked in the description below. You can join the community there, share ideas, chat with myself. I share some of my ideas there. If you have any questions, you can always drop it in the Discord. Linked in the description as well. Free to join, so check it out if you want to. But yeah, guys, I have really enjoyed today's stream. If you have to, make sure you do drop a like before you leave. It does really help out the channel, helps promote the content. Subscribe to the channel as well. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. But I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in today. As always, guys, I'm live next week. I'll drop some analysis on the weekend on Saturday. So I'll recap this week, my trading, and of course, my outlook for the upcoming week. So, you know, the best setups, what I'm looking at as well. So check out that video. It will come on Saturday. But yeah, guys, cheers for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next one.